Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, April 11th, 2014. Well, I'll tell you, this headline gets it about half right, but this is the big story. I don't care what anybody says. Putin turns up the heat in Ukraine. Well, you know what this headline really should say? This headline should say Obama, NATO, and Putin all turn up the heat globally because of Ukraine. Let's just start with the Russians, and one of the latest things the Russians are doing is coming up with a new bond. And that bond is going to be denominated in yuan, Chinese currency. So why would you care about this? This is yet another chink in the U.S. dollar's armor. Another big trade deal that's going to be settled not in dollars, denominated in yuan. And when a currency is in wide review and in demand, the price stays high. But when people start, demanding it less and using it less and less and less, well, the price of it, the value of it goes down. That's where Americans should be very, very concerned. And what's the breaking point? Who knows? How much faster is this going to be kicked in? The world shedding the use of the dollar and using other currencies. Now, Russia now says, we're going to trade oil and natural gas in rubles, period, the end. When is we going to have this watershed moment where everybody says, ooh, I need to sell all my dollars? We have $16 trillion in liquid dollar assets held outside the country. People say, oh, no, they wouldn't do that. Oh, really? You don't think people would get scared and protect themselves and run for the exits and liquefy those dollars and treasury bonds? Really? This is a big deal. This is for sure a financial war that is well underway. And the trend to shed the dollar in settling international trade is a defined one, and I think it is increasing. Now we're hearing from John Kerry, Secretary of State, he's going to have more sanctions on Russia. Oh, that'll kick it into another gear, a higher, faster pace of shedding the dollar on the world stage for international trade. Now, on top of that, Russia says, hey, we're going to raise the price of natural gas in Ukraine. We gave them a discount because we had a base, in Crimea, and now, Crimea is now part of the Russian Federation, so no more discount. Oh, and by the way, we're going to raise gas prices by 50% in May, at least. And because of the debt crisis that Ukraine is having, we're going to demand money up front. Oh, and on top of that this debt crisis, Putin is warning that this debt crisis could, stop the flow of Russian natural gas going to Europe. What? Stop the flow of natural gas could impede the pipelines, could impede the flow of natural gas. You know how heavily dependent just Germany is on Russian natural gas, with 33% or something like that? All of the European Union and the UK all are dependent on some sort of Russian oil or natural gas in a huge way. You knock out a third of somebody's energy, like, for example, in Germany. And what about all the business relationships between the EU and Russia? Well, they're supposed to have a big meeting coming up next week, and it's going to involve Russia, Ukraine, the U.S., and the EU. And I can tell you how a lot of the EU members are going to vote. I mean, the EU is not doing well economically, and I don't think they're ready for any kind of increased sanctions, trade war, that kind of thing. I just don't. And then on top of that, the NATO commander, this is reported in the AP, the NATO commander says, we to counter, Russian military influence, on the border and in Ukraine, we may be deploying, U.S. troops in Eastern Europe. This has huge implications for an ongoing and increasing financial war and a war against the dollar that this week Paul Craig Roberts says, the dollar is going to lose this death fight between gold and the dollar. The anti-dollar is gold. And on top of that, we have our NATO commander that is saying that, who's U.S., saying that U.S. troops may end up deploying in Eastern Europe. And Kerry talking about ratcheting up even more sanctions on Russia. Huge implications for America and the world keep an eye on this story. Lois Lerner, the former IRS chief at the heart of the scandal targeting conservative groups and Tea Party groups, is now a target herself. The House Republicans have sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department. What does a criminal referral mean? It means they want Eric Holder to look into prosecuting Lois Lerner for alleged crimes. Number one, crimes against the First Amendment activity. And this story got a big yawn by the networks. That's unbelievable. ABC, NBC, CBS, their news divisions. You live and die on First Amendment issues in especially network national news divisions. I was at ABC and CNN. I am shocked that these folks aren't covering this story like, wall to wall. But, oh no, not a story. Not a story they're going to cover. Listen, if this was a Republican administration that got caught using the IRS to thwart, political opponents, liberal Democratic groups, oh boy, they'd be all over it. But not so much, which is why I say the mainstream media really kind of lies by omission over and over and over. Lie by omission. This hasn't happened, a criminal referral for a top IRS official. It hadn't happened, criminal referral hasn't happened in decades. This is huge. This is a big story. This is a huge deal. Even though you haven't heard about it, this is a huge deal. It should be a huge deal for any media company. Yet another phony headline about the, they keep up with the headlines. I keep calling them what they are. Phony. Here we are. I'll prove it to you. Here is, this is in USA Today. This is a U.S. economy strength. The hoist globe. We're strong. The U.S. economy is strong. Oh, really? The U.S. economy is strong? You've got to be kidding me. We've got, 93 million people out of the workforce, no longer counted in the workforce. We have almost 50 million people who are on food stamps. We have 0% interest rates for as long as the eye can see. And here we go. We have phony accounting by FASB. And the economy is strong. Hey, listen, if the economy is strong, why don't we stop that? We have $55 billion down to only $55 billion printed out each and every month to bail out, criminal bankers' junk assets and also buy treasury bonds. At least that's what they tell us. The next day, we hear Fed reassures on low interest rates. They're going to keep up with the easy money policy. And here's what this says. It says, please investors send stocks higher. Oh, really? That's like saying, pleased heroin addicts are happy they're getting another hit. What could go wrong? Printing tons of money to keep floating an economy that should have already crashed a long time ago. What could go wrong? This is complete bogus financial reporting. One day they say the economy is strong. This is USA Today. The next day it says, big story about how the Fed's going to keep up. Oh, and the stocks went up because they're going to keep printing tons and tons of money and have easy 0% interest rates for as long as the eye can see. Oh, now they said, well, once it gets to 6.7%, whatever, we'll stop. Oh, no, that's out. Whoop, that's gone. People keep dropping out of the workforce. They quit counting them. You name it. It's not really, John Williams at shadowstats.com says if you did unemployment the way Bureau of Labor Statistics did it in 1994 and earlier, you'd have north of a 23% unemployment rate, unemployed, underemployed. That's the real economy. They keep shoving this down our throats that we've got a recovery. The economy's, and the next day, no, they're not going to stop easy money and low interest rates. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. I called up my friend Greg Manarino at traderschoice.net, and we're discussing this, and out popped out. Here's what he said to me. He said, "This is desperation mode. This is how we know that," I'm just reading his quote, "this is how we know that we're close to the end. It's party over, and they are trying to keep it going till after the November elections." That's what he said. He says he's not sure whether they'll keep it going. There's a lot of wild cards, a lot of moving parts that could sink our economy. You have an economy that's totally manipulated. Lies about GDP, lies about unemployment, lies about, these growth rates. a completely massaged, market where you can't depend on any of the figures and any of the statistics, particularly by any government agency. And, here we are printing tons of money and 0% interest rates, and they're going to continue that. And we have a strong economy. Health and Human Services Director Kathleen Sebelius is out. She's a poof, be gone. She's out of there. Of course, it probably wouldn't have anything to do with that disastrous rollout. But listen, it's a lot more than the rollout. Yeah, the rollout is a disaster. There's still security problems with, the government health care site you're supposed to sign up on. But, this is another lie by omission. Let me just bring up, 4914 USA Today. And here it says right here, how do we like it now? They're talking about health care. Boy, talk about a giant whopper lie by omission. They did put this woman on here, right here, who said her health care doubled. And what they kind of, my thing from the article is they kind of want to say, some people like it, some people don't. But how do we like it now? Hey, I don't know. You know why? How do we like it now? Like, this is the total thing. Like, this is it. Oh, really? There have been, hundreds of exemptions. There have been almost 36 delays. How do we like it now? I don't know. I don't know what it is. How do we like it now? That's the article they asked. USA Today, how do we like it now? How do we like it? How do we like a partial rollout with all kinds of exemptions? I don't know. How do I like it? I don't know. I'll tell you what. If you want to find out how we all like this law, let's do away with all the exemptions, all the delays. Let's see it. Let's see the whole thing. Here's one that I want you to kind of focus on. These big companies have gotten exemptions and they've gotten delays to having to comply with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. All right, so wait till they have to comply with the free this and the free that and the free abortions and health care and birth control, sex change operations, all that stuff. Wait until these companies have to comply, then, you're going to find out that how do you like paying more? How do you like bigger deductibles? You haven't had that yet. So this question, how do we like it? Like it's a fully done, fully mature, everything's all right. How do we like it? How do we like it? Hey, and then ask this question. How do you like those bigger deductibles, higher premiums, bigger co-pays? And here's another one. How do you like that your employer is now going to tax you on the portion they pay for your health care? That gets tacked right on to your income. That's the employers that will end up keeping the plans. But then ask me, how do I like the Obamacare? Ask me then. This is another whopper lie by omission. Of course, in this article, they don't talk about all the delays. They don't talk about all the exemptions. They don't talk about how the law really isn't fully put out there yet. But how do you like it now? Like, this is what it is. No, it's not what it is. Thank you for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments. I learned something from our commenters, visitors almost every day. Smart people, links, comments, smart. I'm not just saying that. Also, thank you to the people that have used the donation button. I'd be a liar if I didn't say that didn't help us. It does help us. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.